Brian Schottenheimer spoke to the media on Thursday, and he had some very interesting things to say about some down roster players. We'll get to that next.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is Landon McCool. And on today's show, we are covering Brian Schottenheimer's press conference during Thursday's media availability. And one of the more interesting notes is that he mentioned that Donovan Azaraku and Marist Liufau are going to be outside linebackers in Christian Parker's defense. We knew that with Azaraku. He was always going to play on the edge. But Liufau, this is certainly a change. He was drafted to be an off-ball linebacker in Mike Zimmer's defense. Really fell out of favor in Matt Eberflus's defense, and now he's going to the edge. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it makes some sense. I think they probably like the player. They like the way he, is what he does on special teams. But he may not be a great fit necessarily as an inside linebacker in this scheme. He does have some good length. He is good being a physical player. He's better as an attacker moving forward. So I think it makes some sense to try him out at outside linebacker, because you have to think like outside linebacker in these situations where you're thinking just pass rusher, but these guys do a lot. They end up dropping into zones. They're obviously strong against the run, and especially if you're playing the correct side, you may end up going against a tight end, which is very similar to what we've seen Liufau do a little bit as an outside linebacker at a 4-3 as well. So I think it makes some sense. I don't know that it's something that we should get super excited about, or that, we've unlocked some player that hasn't been there before, or, that there's going to be even a hint of a Micah Parsons type of transition here. I think this is a case where they've got a cheap labor on a guy that they like. And they are trying to find a way to make him fit in this defense. It doesn't necessarily bode well that it's going to work, but they're trying stuff.
That was a very nice and political way of saying, hey, we don't know what to do with this guy. We're throwing things against the wall and see what sticks. I mean, I think the bigger story, and everybody's talking about him moving the edge and the fit. To me, the bigger story is you're moving him away from being an off-ball linebacker on a team that desperately needs off-ball linebackers right now. You've got DeMarvion Overshown in the last year of his deal. He can't stay healthy. You've got Shamar James, and that's basically it, because Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn, and Damone Clark are all free agents. It's pretty clear that Parker doesn't think he's an off-ball linebacker. Maybe they feel like he can give them more numbers at the edge position, but I think needless to say, it's going to be a struggle for him to make the 53-man roster. And I don't think it's a given that he's on this team in week 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. It's hard to make any sort of argument that you're getting the value that you expected. And it certainly doesn't bode well that he's being moved away from the position that he was drafted to play.
Well, and this happens, right? When you have 3 different schemes and 3 different defensive coordinators in 3 straight years, like, players are going to fall through the cracks, and guys that were drafted in previous schemes aren't going to fit this one. I'm sure they're doing this just to give them some more numbers at a position that needs them. It's unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah, and it's not the end of the world for him. I think it's just a situation where he just doesn't necessarily fit with what they're trying to do. And look, I mean, we talked about it. Honestly, when I thought about Liufau in this defense, I thought, maybe you'll see him have a little bit more success because they'll be doing a lot of sim pressure stuff, and maybe they send him on a lot more blitzes. And I think that's the thing that I've seen him have the most success at, is when he has a job. He's a point and shoot linebacker, right? Like, when he has a job to do, he does it well. When he sees the guy with the ball running this way, he pulls the trigger, gets downhill, and makes the tackle. He's very good at that. I think it's the instinctual stuff that he struggles with. And if you're asking him to play on the outside a little bit, I think that maybe limits his assignments. It makes it easier for him and allows him to do what he does best. Is it enough to make him actually valuable enough to keep on the team? We'll find out.
Well, it reminds me a lot of when we have these discussions during training camp about like wide receiver 5 and wide receiver 6 in the roster.
Exactly.
It really doesn't matter what your role is on defense and how well you play that position. He's going to make this team if he's good on special teams. If he's bad on special teams, probably doesn't matter what he's doing at linebacker or edge rusher. That is his path right now to making this team in 2026. Let's talk about TJ Bass, who Brian Schottenheimer called out in a positive way in his press conference. We'll get to that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Have you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. And here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win a trip to the NBA Finals for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. And if you're already looking at the board, thinking about which teams can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in. I love this time of year for the basketball because, first of all, we just get to focus on basketball for the next 3 months. Plus, now we're past the All-Star break. The action's really heating up. So visit FanDuel.com to get started and use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. So play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. And I've got my number 1 pick for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. I'm going back to my trusty old favorite, cherry. I love the way that it tastes. It has a bold cherry candy-like flavor. It's sweet with a little bit of a tart edge to it, but it has a nice, smooth and easy to recognize finish. So find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. It's the perfect time to dive in because 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost of energy with 0 sugar and 0 crash. Again, go to 5hourenergy.com or check them out on Amazon. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. All right, Brian Schottenheimer, Landon, talked about TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman, how we'd like to have both those guys back. And as soon as he was done talking, the Cowboys put the second round tender on TJ Bass.
That's funny.
Which is going to guarantee him $5.8 million for the 2026 season. That is a lot of money for a backup guard. But I get it. He's a good player.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when you talk about the strengths and weaknesses of this team, one of the things that really kind of helped this offense run was having a strong interior. And I think there were injuries at certain points, guys who were playing banged up. But the Cowboys were able to kind of consistently play with a strong front of their pocket because they had TJ Bass, they had Brock Hoffman, so that when folks went down with injury, they were able to keep rolling with really high quality players who knew the scheme. So there's certainly value here. And we talked about it on the squad show with Coach. This is a situation where the Cowboys have a lot of talent at this very one position. It's kind of concentrated here. I have a feeling that if they are managing to put tenders on both of these guys, that one of them will likely be used as trade bait. I mean, I don't think for maybe a ton necessarily, but I think that it's certainly something that has to be kept in mind because, again, like it's a lot of money to have to spend. What would it be like? Something almost $14 million for both of them to be on the second round tender. So I think that they're certainly very valued backups, not only to the Cowboys. And I think that that's something that they will keep in mind when they need all the assets they can get their hands on to rebuild this defense. If they can flip one of their offensive assets to create opportunity for the defense, I think it makes some sense.
Of the two, Brock Hoffman and Bass, because I'm with you. Like, I just don't see them paying just under $14 million for two guys that you hope aren't playing on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Of the two, which one do you think would get more in a trade, and which one would you prefer to have back in 2026?
The answer to both, I think, is Bass, unfortunately. I think that Bass is, more of a true guard, right? I think you could probably convince yourself that Hoffman could play guard in certain, maybe more zone-based schemes, right? But I think, Hoffman, Bass plays guard really is better than a starting level guard in the NFL, right? I think that's what you could get for trading for Bass. So I think that you could get I thought that you could get a very late day 2 pick, like the third round. You and I, having talked about it, maybe you've talked me off of that ledge.
I think you could get an early day 3 pick is probably what's fair here.
That's probably what we're triangulating between the two of us, right?
Yeah.
Is a 4th round pick. And I think that that's fair. I mean, look, you don't have a 2nd and 3rd round pick. Obviously, you would love to get one of those back. Getting 2 4th round picks maybe gets you close to it, or at the very least kind of helps you supplement it a little bit. Well, so you're still getting, those 4th round picks have still been pretty successful for you at certain points.
And I could see a team like the Raiders being like, okay, hey, we'll give you our 4th rounder if you give us Bass and a 6th rounder. And I think the Cowboys would be interested in that, right? If they could get another top 150 pick and maybe put those 2 4th round picks together to move up into the 3rd round to get a linebacker or a corner or a slot guy, I could see that. And maybe that's how the trade gets done. I am like 5% curious to see if Bass is somebody that they view as an eventual starter, and maybe they figure out a way to get him into the lineup. I don't know. But a lot of interesting things are going to happen over the next 2 weeks with TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman. So stay tuned. That is it for today's show. We would like to thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every single day. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Cowboys ad-free, plus members-only Discord access, and so much more. Go to lockedoncowboys.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we can send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. And on audio, make your second listen the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. Follow Landon on Twitter at McCoolBCB. I'm at Marcus_Mosher, and we'll see you right back here on Monday.